Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Potential Unleashed. We're back with another video, and today we're doing Clash Mode Elite Volume 5 review. I think this is a top 3 favorite book for me, so let's get into it. In this book, the soliloquy is Pseudo is basically talking about how his mom left him when he was younger. His dad was always a janitor, was always hardworking, and always really tired. And so Pseudo, knowing his academics were not good, he pursued sports. So that's how we figure out how Pseudo found a love for sports. Enya, Koji, Hirata, Harikta, and Karuizawa, they're trying to discuss how they're going to get the class to become more united. And Hirata, he wants to get Kushida involved, but we know Harikta, she's not a fan of Kushida, and they don't like each other. We don't know why yet. It happens and is revealed in later books, but they're going back and forth explaining why they should and shouldn't. And Enya, Koji, he's just sitting back from the sidelines. And the special test, or what is the main topic in this book, is a sports festival, and everybody's excited. Hirata, he's like, all right, teacher, I know you're BSing us. This is a special test, isn't it? And she's like, yes, it is. It's going to be Class A and Class D versus Class B and C. All grade levels are competing against each other. However, they're scored individually, if that makes sense. So the third year's score is going to be different from the first year's scores, and etc. And so there's rewards, MVPs, and violations. You lose class points, you lose private points. Also, it deducts points on your tests. At the same time, it helps you get points on your test if you're MVP and stuff like that. And so there are events that are all participants, including the 100-meter dash, 100-meter hurdles, capture the flag, tug of war, and more. And then there are recommended races. There is the scavenger hunt, the three-legged race. I believe it's both one gender and then two gender mixed genders, and then there's the 1200-meter relay race. The classes, they end up meeting with each other, discussing how they're going to strategize. Obviously, Class A with Class D, Class B with Class C, and this is where we actually meet Saga Yanagi, and she's Class A's other representative aside from Kasagari. We have been brought to our attention about her multiple times. On the island tour, she wasn't there because she was sick, and this is where you find out that she is physically weak. In order to figure out who's going to participate, they go on the raise hand or the ability system. Basically, if you want to volunteer and do it, or if who we think is most physically able to do it. Karuizawa was the one who wanted the raise hand system, and Harikta, she wanted the ability system. And the reason why, well, realistically, Karuizawa was fine with Harikta's plan. However, Enya, Koji texted her, telling her to go along and with his plan, saying, hey, question Harikta no matter what, talking about the raise hand ability, because Enya Koji wants Harikta to see the flaws and seek help and advice from others. He's not saying her plan and scheme is wrong. However, he wants her to see that there are more options than her just being right. Enya Koji and Karuizawa, they're still talking. A little bit further after, he explains to Karuizawa why he wanted her to interrupt and object Harikta's plan. And so he tells Karuizawa that there's going to be a traitor and someone will leak the information for their class. Karuizawa's like, who would it be? And he's like, I already made preparations. We're just going to let it happen, but trust me on this. And this leads back to the traitor who they were speculating and they believed from the paper shuffle, or I'm sorry, not the paper shuffle. That's next book. The Zodiac test. Now they're testing physical ability because they went with the ability system instead of the raise hand system. And Pseudo, I believe he gets like 76. And Enya Koji's like, alright, Pseudo, tell me what the average is for the grip strength. Pseudo says 60. Enya Koji gets around 60. And Hirata, he looks at the scale and he looks at the result. He's like, you're pretty strong. Enya Koji's like, wait, I thought I was average. Hirata's like, no, average is like 40, 50. So you're above average. And so Enya Koji, he's mad because now he has to participate in tug of war and other activities that require strength. And as they're practicing, because of Pseudo's advanced ability, they're like, hey, Pseudo, you should be the leader. He's like, okay, I'll do it. But he wasn't a good leader because he wasn't calm and patient with people. And he was always yelling and trying to bark orders instead of understanding what the issue is and trying to help them be better. We all know Enya Koji watched stuff from the sideline. Harikta, she was having trouble with ever new partner she would be paired up with. And Enya Koji, he's like, okay, let me explain to her what she's doing. Because Harikta, she says, well, you can keep up with anybody. It's not that hard. And Enya Koji, he tied his leg to hers, and they were being partners for the three-legged race. And so as they're going, Enya Koji's like, I'm going to take it a step further. And so he started speeding up, going at his own pace instead of trying to sync with her. So she was trying to keep up, and she couldn't. She was basically getting dragged. So the point was he was telling her that you cannot do it alone. You have to be in sync and work with your partner instead of trying to take the lead. And Harikta, she didn't know that. And Harikta, she wasn't the only person that was causing an issue for the class. He knew that Kushida would eventually be a problem because, one, Harikta and Kushida, they were partners for the three-legged race. And we know Kushida doesn't like Harikta, so he figured they would be a problem. And so he invited the two of them to hang out. He brought Harikta over like, Kushida, you want to hang out with me? She was like, of course, I would love to hang out with you. He said, oh, well, I'm bringing Harikta. And Harikta's like, no, you did not just say that. I'm not going along. But they ended up going and meeting each other the next day. The reason why Enya Koji wants them to hang out and talk, because one, he wants to understand why she doesn't like Harikta and they can get along, and two, he's insinuating that he believes Kushida is the traitor of the class. They talk about why Kushida doesn't like Harikta. We meet Nagumo again, or his name gets brought up. We don't get to see really him. He interacts with Kushida and he leaves. And also comes to our attention that it's one-sided hatred, that Kushida hates Harikta, but we don't get an explanation why. So who would participate in what? Suda would participate in everything, and based off of the results of training and stuff, that's who Hirata and Suda, they would put whoever in they would see fit. Koenji, he had the normal nonchalant attitude and he faked an injury so he wouldn't have to participate in any of the sport festival's events. In his heat of the 100 meters, Suda, he placed first. I believe Enya Koji and Hirata, they were in the same heat. Enya Koji 5th, not too fast, not too slow. Hirata placed first. And in the women's, it was Harikta. She was running against Ibuki, where she barely beat Ibuki. And if you guys don't know who Ken Zanaki is, he is, along with Ichinose, I'm not going to say he is the representative, but he has a lot of respect in Class B. He's going against Enya Koji in the 100-meter hurdles. Enya Koji's like, I'm not that fast. Where Ken Zanaki, he says that he believed Enya Koji wasn't taking it seriously, and he's talked to Ichinose about this. So Ichinose knows that Enya Koji is holding back, where Enya Koji, he placed third in the hurdles, and Kenzaki, he placed first. Harikta being confident in her physical abilities, I'd say after the 100 meters race, stuff really went downhill from her. I think she placed third in the hurdles, and then in other events she didn't really do well, which we'll talk about a little bit later why she didn't do well. In capture the flag, Class B and C won because they were playing the fine line of being dirty. They were going on the gray area, they were kicking people, they were stepping on people on accident. And then in the tug of war, Class A and D won. However, when the series was tied 2-2 or 1-1, they were pulling out all their strength, where Class C, they let the rope go. So meaning if you're pulling out all your strength and on one side, like half the people stop pulling, then the other side is just going to automatically lean back and fall over. So they were playing dirty. Going back to Harikta, the reason why she was not doing well in the other events is because in the obstacle course, when she was running, she placed 7th because she ended up in what appeared to be an accident with another student, and she ended up hurting her leg. In the 3-legged race with Hirata and Yokoji, they were partners. They ended up placing first. And then Harikta and Kushida, they were supposed to be a favorite, either first or second. However, they placed last because Harikta was holding Kushida back because her leg was, well, I think in the book it said she had a leg sprain, or her ankle was sprained. During the cavalry battle, Class C and B won because they were going to lose, and then Suda, he had let his ego get to him, and he challenged Ruin 1-on-1 when they had a 2-on-1 advantage. And when Hirata went to go grab the headband, it appeared that Ruin, he had some glossy stuff on his headband making it slippery. It was hair grease, but they couldn't get away with it, and they couldn't get in trouble because hair grease is supposed to be naturally greasy in his hair, and if it got on his band, it is what it is. Suda was frustrated at everything. He went over Koenji because obviously Koenji is equal or better than Suda when it comes to physical ability. They got into it. He was about to go and punch Koenji. Hirata stepped away, where Suda, he punched Hirata. Being frustrated because everybody's looking at him, he ended up running away. And Harikta, she goes to an infirmary to get looked at, and she also went because Chabishira Sensei needed to talk to her. Basically, the whole event was that Harikta caused the injury on purpose to the girl. I don't know her name. And Ruin, he comes in saying, oh, well, he'll report it to the school unless Harikta gives up 1,000,000 points, and that she goes and bows on her knees, begging Ruin that he is superior and that she was wrong and all that, trying to embarrass her. Returning to the sports festival, Harikta saw no sign of Sudo, and Enya Koji, he tells her that she can only do this. She's the one that can bring him back, and she goes to try to bring him back. They talk here and there. They get a heart-to-heart where they talk to each other, and she ends up bringing him back. But simultaneously, the sports festival is still going on, and so they need replacements for people. And I believe Pseudo and Harikta, they're supposed to run the multi-sex or unisex, dual sex, I don't know what it's called, the race together, male and female. And so instead it was Kushida and Enya Koji who ran it, where Enya Koji, he looks at Kushida, and before they start running, he says, "You're the traitor." And she smiled and says, "Enya Koji, you really are smart. We know that Kushida is finally the traitor." She took a picture of the roster and she sent it to Class C. That's why Class D was getting destroyed so badly. And we find out Kushida's true intentions. She wants to get Harikta expelled, and now that Enya Koji knows everything about her, she wants him to get expelled as well. Pseudo returns in time for the final event, the 1200 meter race, and so Enya Koji, Kushida, and Pseudo, they're all in it. Class D, they're losing. It doesn't matter. Manabu and Enya Koji, they're the anchorlets, they're the final people running. And so Enya Koji, he challenges Harikta Manabu. He says, "Alright, if you throw away this match, I'll show you what I can really do." Because we know Manabu has interest in Enya Koji. Manabu accepts his offer, and they've run both down the track at full speed. Everybody's roaring and cheering. They're unexpected seeing that Enya Koji is this fast. In the end, because somebody ran down in front of him, Enya Koji barely lost to Harikta, but a loss is still a loss. Everyone's surprised Karuizawa, Harikta, Pseudo, and a bunch of others. And the bunch of others, they have an impact on the future books that I want to talk about. But in the end, Class D, they end up losing the sports festival. Harikta, she goes to meet Ruin because we know she's going to give him the 100 million. She's going to get on her knees and beg to him. However, something unexpected happens. So as she's about to get on her knees in front of Ruin and Kushida, a message is sent to Ruin where basically it talks about how Harikta was set up and the plan to crush her and frame her was sent to Ruin's phone, where Ruin no longer can get her to be on her knees and also give it the 100 points. So obviously Enya Koji was the one to save Harikta, and so Ruin, he now confirms that somebody's smarter than Harikta and someone equally or even smarter than him is pulling the strings, and he wants to figure out who that is. Enya Koji then leaves for his dorm. However, he is stopped by Sakayanagi, Class A's co-rep, and so she ends up revealing that she knows everything about Enya Koji, his real physical ability, his real mental ability, how smart he is, the White Room, everything. And that's pretty much book 5. Like I said, it's one of my favorite books. I love the sports festival aspect. I love that Harikta is finally learning her weaknesses and how she can interact with other people. We find out that Kushida is indeed the traitor. We also get some Karuizawa Hirata action with Enya Koji in the background. And we also get to see Enya Koji use his real physical ability for once in the book. And so like I said, it's probably a top 3, top 4 book out of the 10 that I've read. I really enjoyed it, but let me know your guys' thoughts about it in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.